well, got a lot of responsibility, and a bad day gets worse. Dallas at the Rams is not a good matchup, and here's why. Sean McVay's a really creative coach. Creative coaches have off-season to draw up plays. Andy Reid is great in September. Doug Peterson is 4-0 in openers. Sean McVay is 3-0 in openers. Now, Matt Nagy's creative, but he has Mitch Trubisky. But if you have a good quarterback, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Alex Smith or Mahomes, and you get an off-season to draw up some plays, Andy Reid about a month ago sent me some of his plays he's got for his opener against the Texans. That's what creative guys do. Sean McVay averages over 31 points a game in season openers. He'll be taking on Mike McCarthy. Conservative, little old, going to probably play it safe to start. New system, Dak. I don't think this is a good spot for Dallas. I think I get a better coach in Sean McVay. And by the way, Mike McCarthy was 9-4 in openers with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. And that was against Leslie Frazier and Jim Caldwell and John Fox and Lovie Smith and Jim Schwartz. Very conservative coaches, many of them defensive coaches. In fact, all of those defensive coaches, except I think Caldwell. But I say McVay, I think clever. I think daring. I think exotic. And I think McCarthy, I think kind of staid and conservative and safe. And I think this is a good spot for the Rams, who I think have the second or third best wide receiving core in the NFL. The Rams bring back the same coach, the same left tackle, the same quarterback, the same tight end, the same system, the same two top receivers. Peter Schrager talked about Dallas this year and Mike McCarthy.
I am fascinated to see how this Mike McCarthy thing goes, Colin, because look, let's call it like it was. Steve Wilkes and the Arizona Cardinals, led by Josh Rosen, beat Mike McCarthy and the Packers. They fired Mike McCarthy midway through that season, and he was out of work all last year. So we're supposed to believe that all of a sudden Mike McCarthy is going to suddenly become this rejuvenated coach of the year type guy. Let's see if Mike McCarthy is the magic elixir that gets Dak Prescott over the hump.
This is just kind of your classic. There's 9 teams with a new coach and system and a new quarterback, and I don't like any of them this weekend except Carolina, because I really think Teddy Bridgewater's underrated, and I don't trust the Raiders, who were an awful team last year and didn't have OTAs or a preseason to work out their issues. But it's funny about this. You think to yourself, like I'm watching last night, and this is what's scary about Kansas City. This was the time to beat Kansas City. Think about this. So when you tell people you got to go to Kansas City to play the Chiefs, first thing you think about is that's one of the loudest places. There weren't many fans last night. Well, what's the weather? By November, it's like hailing sideways. Well, the weather was perfect. Well, Mahomes and Reid are coming off the Super Bowl. You would totally get them being flat in the opener. The weather was perfect, which it never is in Kansas City. There was no crowd to speak of, no crowd noise. And Kansas City rolled. It's like, okay, that was your opportunity. I mean, if you ever want to beat a Super Bowl, I mean, even Belichick, they make the Super Bowl. When you go to the Super Bowl, you also play longer and longer and longer. And as Aqib Talib said yesterday on the show, you go back to your hometown. A lot of these football players are from small hometowns. They go to big universities and NFL teams. And you go back to Allen, Texas, and you're the big star, and you're in the parade, and everybody loves you. And you just get off to a late start. You're not as good a shape when you go to OTAs or camp. That was the moment to beat Kansas City. And it wasn't really even competitive. Now, one of the things we always say about Friday's all about hope. Monday's all about overreaction. So these Thursday games, Houston's going to win games because they have Deshaun Watson, and Bill O'Brien historically is pretty good at engineering an offense. But so don't overreact. I think we have to, as we watch football all Sunday, we've got to really be honest about this. With no preseason, nobody really knows. Tampa doesn't know what they're going to look like. Tom Brady doesn't know what this is going to look like. He doesn't. You can't replicate full speed practice against buddies in the locker next to you and full speed game. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises. There'll be a little sloppiness in Cleveland. Remember last year, Browns went into them and just punched them in the throat, and Baltimore's fully aware of it. Also, not only are the Browns bad in week 1, they haven't won since 2005. They're last in wins, point differential, and turnover differential. The Ravens led the NFL in rushing, and I believe their rushing game will be better. And this is a testament to John Harbaugh and coaching. Ravens have held their opponents to 10 points or fewer in the last 4 season openers. That's what great defensive coaches do all summer. They figure out that opener. I don't like to swallow a lot of points, but I'm taking the Ravens big, 33-20.
Jets at Bills.
I'll take the Jets plus 6.5, and here's why. Josh Allen was bad last year. He was pretty good against Dallas, and that's the game you watched, right? But Josh Allen was last in passing yards, passing touchdowns, completion percentage, passing rating among quarterbacks over the last 2 years with a minimum 25 starts. He's been bad. The coaching staff is great. He's not been good. He wasn't good as last year at Wyoming. The Bills have scored fewer than 20 points in each of their last 5 games last year, including the playoff loss. Now, I don't like the fact Jamal Adams is gone, but C.J. Mosley was gone last year too. 6.5 points when I get the better quarterback. And there's no question the Jets have upgraded at wide receiver, tight end, and offensive line. Buffalo may win 24-20. 6.5 is way too many points to give the Jets. Buffalo weather won't be an issue. They've got some new personnel on the outside that I think will be a handful for the Bills. Bills win. Love the Jets plus 6.5.
Seahawks at Falcons.
Like it, I love it. I'll take Atlanta plus 2.5, my pick of the weekend. Falcons played really well last year. Won their last 4, and they won 6 of their last 8 to support their coach. He may get fired, but they like him. And Matt Ryan has figured out Pete Carroll. They've faced each other 7 times. Matt Ryan's 5-2. His passer rating's over 100. 16 TDs, 4 picks. Matt Ryan's done really well against Pete Carroll defenses, and this is not one of Pete Carroll's great defenses. Also, for all their issues, Matt Ryan's not the problem. The offense isn't the problem. It was a top 5 offense last year, playing at home, and they were a top 3 passing offense. And remember this, as much as I love Russell Wilson, it is really hard in the NFL to go on the road cross-country against a Pro Bowl-level quarterback when you, Seattle, have a significantly worse offensive line and defensive line. That's hard to do in the NFL. We're going into a stadium on the road. We have easily the worst O-line and D-line in the game. Atlanta's getting points. Atlanta's going to win it. 24-23.
Raiders at Panthers.
I know. Bunch of new stuff for Carolina. But can I just say something? Of course I can. It's my show. Teddy Bridgewater's good. I'll show you something funny. Best winning percentage as a starting quarterback in the last 5 years. Minimum 20 starts. Lamar, Garoppolo, Brady, Mahomes. Teddy Bridgewater! He's 16-6. And he's also has a history of walking into a playbook and figuring it out. He's got a lot of college starts. He's got some NFL starts. This is a guy they inserted into New Orleans last year. He was ready to go. He does not make mistakes. He's got a world-class running back. I've always thought their wide receivers are underrated. The offensive line is good enough, middle of the pack. Now, defensively, they're in a rebuild, and they put a lot of their draft picks on the defensive side. But the Raiders were a bad team last year, not just on defense. Week 12 on, the Raiders were bad offensively with all those weapons. It's a Gruden, Derek Carr issue. The Raiders were a bad road team, 2-6, and lost, outscored by 90 points. Worst road point differential in the NFL. I don't like all the change in Carolina, but I'm getting over a field goal from a quarterback that wins, figures out playbooks, and has arguably the best running back coach and a new creative head coach. I'm going to take Carolina to beat the Raiders 28-27.
Cowboys at Rams.
I think the Rams are the better team, and they're getting points at home. I'm going to take Los Angeles plus 3. First of all, the Cowboys only had 7 defensive interceptions last year. Translation, they don't make offenses uncomfortable. They don't. The Rams' O-line is healthy. Same quarterback, same coach, same system, same left tackle, same wide receivers, same tight end. This is a good Rams team with a super, hyper creative head coach. Sean McVay in season openers. This is what creative head coaches do. He's 3-0, averaged 36 points. 2 of the 3 wins came by plus 20 points. Jared Goff, by the way, for all the heat he gets, in the last 4 weeks, averaged 330 yards passing, second best in the NFL, higher than Mahomes. Why? Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, good tight ends. By the way, Cam Akers, rookie running back out of Florida State, has been the talk of the camp, as has Van Jefferson, wide receiver from Florida. I think Dallas, if they played in a month, maybe the better team. But I think this is continuity, been a quiet camp. The Rams are healthy. The